Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Dustin and I'm building prop recreations based on your suggestions using everyday materials I can find around the house or at local thrift stores or hardware stores without spending a lot of money. Now, I am here in my house. I don't have a fancy workshop or the most professional tools, but if you're like me and you just like making stuff from scratch and doing DIY projects, don't let that stop you. I'm gonna show you some of my tips and tricks and some of my DIY techniques. So let's get started. Alright, so today we are making the Terminator arm. This is the T-800 endoskeleton arm from the Terminator movies. So I'm gonna see if I can build this thing and maybe mount it in a cool way so it can be displayed. So this is gonna look like it's made of metal, but I think I'll be making it out of wood and some plastic and some miscellaneous junk and then spray painting the whole thing silver in the end. So I'm gonna need a lot of sticks and stick-like things. So I think I'm gonna go to the hardware store and buy a few things, and then I have a lot of junk here too that I think I can use. So let's go see what I got. All right, so I have a lot of craft stuff and miscellaneous stuff like zip ties and a lot of these wooden sticks. They're wooden dowels. This is only a couple bucks for a pack. But another cheap alternative would be like in the food section of a store, you can get little bamboo skewers. Straws, I've even got these thick kind of like boba straws that I might use. So I just need to kind of build them all up, get the main part of the arm structure. This is from the 99-cent store. Because there's this kind of piece that like kind of collects everything at the bottom, sort of like closes it in, but kind of comes out and it has these little lines. So I'm just gonna cut this. There. It's actually pretty close. I'm gonna do the 3 or 4 main sticks that go through the arm. So these were a little bit on the thin side, so I decided to just pick up a piece of doweling. They come in single pieces. This was only 89 cents for this whole thing. It comes in lots of sizes. So I'm gonna just cut these down and then figure out a way to attach them in here. I'm gonna attach these rods to the inside of the water bottle by just drilling some holes in the bottom of the plastic. That way I can maybe stick like a screw through the end and put some hot glue in there to kind of hold them in place. I'm drilling pilot holes in the dowel too, just because I don't know if it's gonna crack when I try and put this screw into it. It's pretty solid. So I got the 4 screws sticking out through the bottom, and I can put the rods right into it, and that's like pretty solid. All right, it's taking shape. All right, so each one of these has kind of a thicker base. So this is a funny idea. You could use these thick boba straws if you've got them. Kind of cut it down a couple inches and then just slide it on there. So that's one way to do it. I found a piece of tubing, and this was only like $2 for this whole long thing, and it's actually pretty solid. And so I'm just gonna cut a piece of that and slide it on here. The chandelier holds the tubing in place. I'm gonna cut through this with my PVC cutters, but if you don't already have those, you could maybe just dig away at it with box cutters, or even just with the hacksaw. I want to put something on the end of this. Okay. Well, no need to glue it. Oh, I know. So these are kind of hollow right here, but I want to see if I have washers that will just sit right on top of there. So I just happen to already have these washers, but if you were to buy them, just make sure they fit your doweling. So in this case, this was 5/16, so that's the size that the washer needs to be, so it'll fit on there. So now it kind of looks like pistons that kind of move in and out of each other. All right, so now basically I need to build a little platform that's like the base of the wrist right here. So I think I'm gonna cut, this is just like a scrap piece of masonite, which is just like a particle board. That'll work, just something that's kind of sturdy. So I'm gonna just go ahead and cut this piece out and then use these wire cutters to just kind of snip around these little curves and edges. Close enough. So that's gonna go right on top. All right, before I attach this to the top of these, I'm gonna drill a hole in the center to make room for some of the wiring that's gonna go through later on. All right, to make the hole a little bit wider, if you've only got drill bits, you can just keep using bigger and bigger ones, but these are pretty handy. They're step drill bits, and they kind of go bigger and bigger without having to change it out. Easy. So I want to make all the hand bones. This is 1/8 inch. This was 59 cents. But I'm going to use some of these too that I had the prepackaged ones because they're a little thicker. For the inside of the hand, I'm going to go ahead and just cut a bunch of similar length and then figure out how to attach them. For each one, I used the thicker rod and the thinner rod. All right, so for the knuckles, I found these. They're called crossbar clips, and they were like $2. They were in the screen door section. I was just looking for something blocky and kind of square that I could attach to these rods that would just look like blocky knuckles. I'm gonna curve each finger in a little further than the last one, so it'll be kind of like that. So I've got the first section of finger done. Now I just need to add the second set of knuckles and then keep working my way up to the tips of the fingers and just keep gluing and gluing and gluing and hope that it all kind of stays together. The world's most fragile Terminator. Don't touch his hand. It'll shatter. All right, so I'm realizing that the width of these knuckles is a little thin and wimpy, even compared to my small hand. If I put kind of some little nuts on either side of these, it'll look like the hinge, which is how their hands are. So I bought this whole pack. It's 100 and this is only $2.50 for the whole pack, so I can glue these all over the place. Oh no, now it's stuck. Ah! All right, still not super thick, so I'm just adding in some more. These are a little bit bigger, just to broaden it a little bit more as spacers. And like these lines kind of have an outward shape. They spread out a little bit. One thing I've always noticed when I watch these movies is that the tips of the fingers look like cap nuts that have a little dome on the end. So I had one that's a little bigger. I'm gonna use it for the thumb, but I picked up a pack of 4. This was like a little over $1. These are gonna make really good fingertips, robot fingertips. So these cap nuts that I bought are a little bit smaller on the inside, so the dowel doesn't fit directly into them. So I just had to shave off a little bit of the end so that it will fit and snap right in. All right, I'm gonna add some more details just to the top of these 3 rods. I have some leftover pieces of this tubing that I cut, so I'm just gonna kind of slip that on there just to give it a little bit more texture before it gets to the wrist. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Now, I am gonna make an optional stand, so more on that in a few minutes, but for now, I do need to kind of think ahead and attach the part of the stand that's gonna go into this so it's nice and solid. So I bought this, it's a galvanized steel nipple, that's what it's called. So this is like a little miniature one. This is 1/8 inch. So this is about $2, but I think it's gonna be worth it to make a heavy duty stand. Since this threading is kind of a special size, you can't just use any nut for it, you have to use the special ones that fit it. So this is a 1/8 inch lock nut that goes with this. So I got 2 of them because they're gonna sandwich between this water bottle, one on the inside, one on the outside, so I can tighten them down like crazy, and then this will just be really, really solid. So I'm using the step drill bit again. Oh man, it barely fits between those pipes. Yeah, fit. It's an armsicle. All right, so the last thing to finish up the arm is the connectors on the inside that control the fingers. So those are just gonna be some wires that I'm just gonna glue in there. So this is just a spool of wire. I had it left over. So any wire will do. I just figured it was kind of like the right width. So that's what I'm gonna use. All right, so on the kind of elbow section, it looks like almost 2 wheels. It's sort of a big hinge. So I got these at the 99-cent store, which is great because they came in a pair. I'm thinking I might just cut it right here and that will be my sort of like little wheel thing. There we go. All right, so I'm not finding anything kind of solid or plastic that fits the shape I need, but I do have this foam, so even though it's kind of flimsy, I'm just gonna cut it to the exact right shape and then it will look really good once it's painted. All right, I'm gonna fancy these up a little bit because they're a little boring. I'll just put some little tidbits on here and glue them on, and then I can attach all of this. There's sort of like one piece that sticks out like a little wing. I'll be scratching my back. All right, this is ready for paint, but I am gonna build my stand here real quick. This is totally optional. These are kind of the most expensive part of this whole build. I wanted to step up from this 1/8 inch rod to this heavy duty flange. This is a 3/4 inch flange. You can buy these bushings. So I started with this one that fits on there. Then I got the next one up, which was gonna fit on there. And then that whole thing fits into the flange. So that becomes the stand, and it's really heavy duty, looks kind of industrial, Cyberdyne-ish. That's the last thing. Now it's time for paint. That's it. All right, that is my low budget Terminator arm. I spent 30 bucks on this entire thing, and that's including $16 for the stand. So if I hadn't made that, I would have spent about 14 or 15 bucks on the hand itself. So let me know if you have any other questions in the comments, and I'll try and help you out. And let me know what other props you want to see me try and make. I'll be taking your suggestions. Be sure to subscribe for more awesome content, and I'll see you here soon because I'll be back.
In the Predator universe, they have many different wrist blades. We're going to be basing ours off of Wolf's wrist blades, which are a little longer, still the basic form like the original movie, have a little bit more presence to them.